Hi everyone and welcome back. Well, I hope you're all doing okay and you're not getting too bored during this lockdown. Well, I guess it's a good excuse, isn't it, to get lots of painting and drawing done. So anyway, onto the drawing then. So this is a scene of the Yorkshire Dales. It was taken from a photograph from one of my Patreon members who very kindly let me use this to do a drawing demonstration of. And as always, the full lesson will be over on my Patreon channel. There's 12 videos to accompany this one. This is just a brief overview of what the drawing looks like. Okay, so on to the most frequently asked questions then. The first one is about pencil grades. I get asked this one quite a lot actually, and it's what pencil grades do I actually need to start drawing? Well, it's a personal thing really. And I think too much importance is actually put on worrying about what grades of pencils you should use. I understand a lot of people's predicaments about when they walk into an art shop and they'll see a set of 6 pencils, a set of 12 pencils, or the set of 24 pencils. Which one is the best one to get? Again, that's another tough question to answer. But basically, as long as you've got a pencil that's nice and dark to get all your dark tones, something like a 6, 7, 8 or 9B, something in the region of that. You've got something to get all your mid-tones with, like an HB or a B, something along those lines. Then you've got something that's quite light for the lighter areas, like a 2H or a 4H or something like that. That's the barest minimum that you need. Now I do appreciate that a lot of these sets, the smaller sets of pencils, like 6 and 4 sets and things like that, you don't get a really wide range of pencils. You know, you often get something that just starts at HB and, you know, the darkest pencil you've got there is a 4B. So you've not really got a wide range of pencils. Now for me personally, I use at the very lightest, well in fact I've got all of the grades. I have several sets of 20 and 24 pencils and 12 sets, all different kinds of sets, so I've got the entire range anyway. But I very rarely use anything lighter than a 4H or a 5H. Occasionally I'll use, a 7H or something just as a one-off for something very, very light and something very specialist or something in a drawing. But generally speaking, I never use anything lighter than that. So generally I start with a 4H, I have a 2H, and then I go to an HB, and then a 2B, although with a set of pencils that I've got at the moment, the Faber-Castell woodcase pencils, I'm really enjoying using the B grade pencil there. So that's kind of been included in the range of pencils that I use. But other than that, 2B, 4B, and then something really dark, like a 7B or an 8B or something like that, 6B. And you're good to go. That's really all you need. But I would actually recommend buying quite a large set of pencils with the entire range in, because it's nice just to have them there. Even if you never use the 9H, you might just use it once in your lifetime or twice in your lifetime. It's nice just to have them there, just to make comparisons with, and just so you know actually what they look like, what the tones actually look like. But generally speaking, I would always recommend buying a 12 set. Something that starts around the 4H mark and goes up to sort of an 8B or something like that. Obviously missing alternate grades out in between, so you've got sort of a HB, 2B, 4B, 6B, 8B, that kind of thing. And that should be perfectly adequate, for all of your drawing needs there. Now that's basically the woodcase pencils. Now if you're going to use mechanical pencils, particularly if you're going to use the Pentel high polymer leads, you'll notice that they run a lot darker than your standard woodcase pencils. So bear that in mind. You can use the 4B Pentel lead, and it's probably as dark as a 6 or 7B in your regular woodcase pencils. Something else I should just quickly mention as well. European pencils, makes like Derwent, Koh-i-Noor, Faber-Castell, Staedtler, that kind of thing. They're all very similar. There are variations between them in time, but they're all very similar, and they follow sort of the European grading system. Whereas pencils like the Mitsubishi Hi-Uni, the Tombow 100s, and some of the Indian pencils like the Nataraj and things like that, they seem to be on a different grading system and they run a lot darker anyway, so you have to make allowances for things like that, regarding what set of pencils you actually buy. Okay, so I hope that's answered your question there about pencil grades. Now, another common question I always get about pencils is, which is the best brand of pencil? I always get this one. Again, it's a subjective thing. It's a very personal thing. And I think, again, too much emphasis is placed on what brand of pencil to use. Now, what I would suggest is avoiding pencils that contain a lot of grit and that don't follow a grading system very well. And what I mean by that is you could have an HB pencil and a 2H pencil in the same set, and the 2H pencil is darker than the HB pencil. Avoid sets like that because they get very confusing to use. But the sets I actually recommend are Faber-Castell, Staedtler-Mars Lumograph, Koh-i-Noor. They do 2 ranges of pencils. I like them both. And I used to recommend Derwent, but I've had a bit of trouble with grit in their newer pencils. I like the old vintage pencils. I've not really had too much trouble with those, but the so-called new and improved ones seem to have taken a step back. I actually bought, well, I didn't buy 3 sets, I bought 1 set of them. Rang the company up and said they were just full of grit, so they sent me another set. I had the same problem. I ran them back and told them, and they sent me another set and I had the same problem again, so I didn't bother calling them back. I just kind of gave up on them. But that's not to say they're bad pencils. In fact, it's funny to say this, but they are actually my favourite leads. The Cumberland graphite for me is one of the best graphites you can get, but Derwent aren't grinding the graphite and the clay together very well at the moment. Hopefully they rectify this, because when they do, I would actually put Derwent pencils at the top of my list as one of the best pencils to get. You might have a good set. I've perhaps been a bit unfortunate and got 3 bad sets there, but that's my experience. I can only talk from my experience, of what I've found. I know people have bought some of the newer sets and loved them, had no problem with them at all. So they're definitely worth looking into, but if you've got a gritty set, I wouldn't recommend using it. 2 of the sets of pencils which I never have any problems with at all are the Staedtler-Mars Lumograph and the Faber-Castell. Both really great sets of pencils, really high quality. Other good sets to consider, but like I say, these do run quite dark, and that's the Mitsubishi Hi-Uni, the Tombow 100s, Caran d'Ache Graphwood as well, but they're very expensive and they're a little bit too soft for my liking. So again, it's all down to your personal choice really, but there's just a few suggestions for you of some of the pencils that I use and that I recommend. And also, pencils are not very expensive anyway. Well, the Caran d'Ache, they're a bit pricey, but generally, the pencils there that I've recommended aren't very expensive, and it might be worth your while just buying a couple of sets just to see. You've not lost anything. If you don't like one of the sets there, you're sure to use them up anyway. It's like I said, they're not that expensive, so you've not lost a lot of money even if you don't like them. I like to try different pencils. I like to try all different kinds of pencils, from the very cheapest I can find to the most expensive I can find. You've probably seen my pencil collection video. If not, I'll leave a link in the description below for it. I mean, I've got literally hundreds of pencils, enough to last me 10 times over. A lot of them have been given to me. A lot of them I bought very cheap. But it's definitely worth trying different brands, different grades, just finding what suits you best, because like I say, the bottom line is, it's a very personal thing, as to what you prefer. Okay, so I hope that's answered all your pencil questions there. Like I say, they're 2 of the most common questions that I get asked all the time. I totally understand, when people are starting out with graphite drawing, it can be bewildering, can't it? The amount of brands and grades and all sorts of different pencils out there, from mechanical pencils, clutch pencils, wood case pencils. It can be a big topic, so I do get asked a lot of questions on that. But if you've got any other questions, leave them in the description below. I'll do my best to answer them for you. If I don't answer them in the video, I'll make a separate video and address them there. Okay, so we're just about at the end of the drawing now. Like I say, there'll be 12 other videos to accompany this one. It's a full lesson over on Patreon. Full 12 lessons there. You'll see the whole thing from start to finish so that you can draw along. The narration is in real time as well. Everything's in real time. No sped up videos or voiceovers or anything like that. So I'll leave links to Patreon in the description below and in the end cards as well, and it will be great to see you over on Patreon. Got a fantastic community of people over there, so really look forward to seeing you over there. Right, okay, so that's, well, there we go, that's the drawing finished there. So I hope you like that, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care everybody and stay safe. Bye for now.